Lieutenant Jason Cole stood near the edge of the starship Harmony's Reach, watching the stars drift by through the large viewing window. His hands were behind his back, his uniform freshly pressed. Today was a big day, humanity's first peaceful meeting with the Vulpinari. The Vulpinari were an alien species recently discovered near the edge of the Sagittarius Arm. They were intelligent, proud, and fox-like in appearance. Covered in sleek fur, with long ears and sharp golden eyes, they carried themselves with a noble, ancient grace. Unlike many other species, they lived by a strict code of honor and tradition. Jason was a junior, xenolinguist, trained in alien languages and customs, but this was his first real mission. He had studied the Vulpinari culture for weeks. There was still much humans didn't understand about them. As the shuttle carrying the Vulpinari docked with Harmony's Reach, the crew stood in a line to welcome the visitors. Jason adjusted his collar nervously. The airlock opened with a soft hiss. Out stepped 3 Vulpinari. 2 guards, tall and armored, walked first. Behind them was a female figure, dressed in shimmering robes of silver and blue. Her fur was reddish gold, and her posture straight. She was beautiful in an alien, dignified way. "This is Tavanny," Captain Morales said quietly to Jason. "She's a diplomat, one of their noble houses. Be careful around her." Jason nodded, keeping his eyes forward. The introduction ceremony went smoothly. Tavanny spoke slowly in her own language, and Jason's translator helped him understand. She bowed with perfect grace, and Jason returned the gesture. Later, Jason was told to assist her in learning the human ship's layout. Since Tavanny refused the universal translator, believing direct speech built stronger ties Jason's language skills were needed. "Just don't mess up," Morales had warned. "These aliens take everything seriously." Hours later, Jason wandered the ship's quiet diplomatic wing, holding a small datapad. He had been asked to deliver updated schedules to Tavanny. He approached her guest quarters but didn't hear any sound. The door was half-dash open. Jason hesitated. Maybe she was out. He knocked lightly. "Envoy Tavanny?" No answer. He peeked. Inside, what he saw made his stomach drop. Tavanny stood in the center of the room, her ceremonial robes folded neatly on a side table. Her golden fur shimmered under the lights. Without the robes, her form was fully visible, elegant, athletic, and clearly not meant to be seen this way by outsiders. Her back was turned. She was humming softly, unaware of him. Jason's face went red. "I'm sorry," he said, quickly stepping back and slamming the door shut. His heart pounded in his chest. Why wasn't the door locked? He muttered to himself, horrified. He stood frozen outside, unsure of what to do. A moment later, the door opened slowly. Tavanny stood there, now fully dressed. Her eyes were locked on his. Her face was calm, but her ears twitched slightly, something Jason remembered as a sign of stress or surprise. "You have seen?" she said slowly in English. "I swear it was an accident," Jason said quickly. "I didn't mean to walk in. I was just—" She raised a hand. "You saw? You did not turn away fast enough. I didn't know. I thought you weren't there." She stepped closer, her gaze intense. "The seeing of the unrobed is not small." Jason blinked. "What?" "In Vulpinari tradition," she said carefully, "when one sees another in true form without, covering it is a sign of the bond. You have seen the inside. It's the real." Jason's stomach dropped again. "Wait, are you saying that was like a proposal?" She paused. "It is ... recognition." Lifelink Jason shook his head. No. That wasn't a proposal. It was a mistake." She looked at him with sharp eyes. "But your eyes did not flee. You stood. You faced the real. This is how it begins." Jason took a step back. "I swear I didn't mean to see anything. Please don't take it the wrong way. I cannot undo what has been seen." "Nor can you," she said calmly. "You have chosen." Jason looked around as if searching for help, but the corridor was empty. Tavanny tilted her head slightly. "Do humans break sacred acts?" "No, but we don't even have this custom." It's not a sacred act to us. Just really awkward, she frowned. Then we have misunderstanding. Jason sighed in relief. Yes, that's it. A misunderstanding. We can explain it to your people. She looked down, then back at him. They will not accept mistake. My house. They are proud. The bond once formed is real. Jason covered his face with his hands. I'm so dead. Tavani blinked. You do not wish to be bonded? He looked at her, unsure of what to say. I don't even know what that means. I barely met you. She gave a slow nod. Then we must learn together to avoid insult. 4. Jason could respond. She walked away down the corridor. But as she passed him, she said something softly in her own language. The translator whispered it into his ear. Life-linked. Destiny chosen, even in error. Jason groaned. This was not how first contact was supposed to go. Jason couldn't sleep. He sat in his small quarters on Harmony's Reach, staring at the ceiling. His thoughts spun in circles. He had been on many training missions before, but none of them included accidentally becoming space married to a royal foxwoman. He buried his face in a pillow and groaned. How did this even happen? A soft chime echoed through his room. Someone was at the door. Come in, Jason said weakly. The door slid open. Commander Alina Rios stepped inside. She was tall, strict, and sharp-eyed. Her uniform looked like it had never seen a wrinkle in its life. Lieutenant Cole, she said, folding her arms. I just got off a call with the Vulpine Council. Jason sat up straight. Let me explain, ma'am. I swear I didn't mean to, I know, she said, cutting him off. You walked in by mistake, but according to their culture, it wasn't a mistake. Jason's face dropped. So they really think I'm bonded to her? Alina nodded. Yes. And she's a diplomat from a high-ranking noble family. If you reject the bond, they might take it as a deep insult. It could damage the peace talks. Jason leaned back, overwhelmed. So what am I supposed to do, marry her? Alina sighed. No one's asking for a wedding ring. Not yet. But the Vulpine expect you to follow the first steps of their bonding. Tradition, at least until this can be diplomatically untangled. Jason rubbed his temples. This just keeps getting worse. She's invited you to join her in the path of knowing, Alina added. It's the next phase in their bonding custom. What's that supposed to mean? You spend 3 days together, talking, sharing stories, learning each other's truth? Jason blinked. Like dating, like an interview for a soulmate, she said. The next morning, Jason met Tavani in one of the meditation chambers. She stood waiting, calm and composed. Her long robes shimmered under the soft lights. Greetings, life-linked, she said. Jason gave a half-smile. You don't have to call me that. In your language, I have no better word, she replied. Shall we begin? Jason nodded. All right, let's don't talk. They sat cross-legged on cushions. A small table between them held a pot of hot tea in 2 cups. I will ask first, Tavani said. Why did you come to the stars? Jason thought for a moment. I guess. To help. To understand new life. New cultures. I wanted to make peace, not war. Tavani tilted her head slightly. You are not a warrior. Jason shook his head. No, I'm a linguist. I study languages. She poured tea into both cups. A seeker of meaning, she said quietly. My people honor such roles. Jason sipped the tea. It was warm, sweet, and slightly spicy. What about you? Why did you become a diplomat? Tavani looked away for a second, her ears flicking gently. My blood is noble. My choice was not ... optional. I was trained since birth to speak for my people, to stand tall, even when I wished to run. Jason raised his eyebrows. You didn't want this? I wanted freedom, she said softly. But duty came first, as it always does. There was silence for a moment. I get that, Jason finally said. I joined the fleet because I didn't want to get stuck on Earth, but I still have to follow orders, even if I hate them. Tavani looked at him with curious eyes. then we are not so different. Over the next 2 days, Jason and Tavani shared more stories. They spoke of Earth's oceans, Vulpinari mountain temples, the feeling of loneliness in space, and the quiet joy of finding someone who listens. They played a Vulpinari memory game, touching symbols and repeating long stories. Jason struggled, but she laughed gently and helped him. They shared human music and Vulpinari wind chants. Jason told her about Earth animals, foxes, wolves, and cats. She found them amusing but said none match our spirit. By the 3rd day, something had changed. Tavani no longer called him only life-linked. Sometimes she called him Jason, sometimes she smiled. That evening, the door to Jason's quarters opened again. This time it was Captain Morales. "I just got word," he said. "Tavani's house has declared your bond official." Jason stood up in shock. "What? I thought this was just the first phase." "Their council moved faster than expected," Morales said, rubbing his forehead. "They think your time together means you accepted the bond. They've even begun preparing for the joining ceremony." Jason sat down, stunned. "What happens? If I say no, they might take it as an insult. Maybe even a rejection of alliance." Jason looked out the small window, watching stars drift by. "I didn't sign up for this. I just wanted to help with translation." Morales softened his tone. "You've done more than that, Lieutenant. You've made a connection no diplomat could. Tavani respects you." She chose to continue the bond. Jason didn't answer right away. Deep inside, he didn't hate the idea anymore. Tavani had surprised him with her honesty, her strength, her quiet humor. What started as a disaster was slowly turning into something... interesting. "All right," Jason said finally. "I'll go through with the next step, but only if she's okay with it. Not because of politics, but because we choose it." Morales nodded. "I think that's fair." Later that night, Jason met Tavani in the viewing chamber. She stood by the glass, looking at the stars. "Tomorrow is the joining," she said. "I heard," Jason replied. She turned to him. "Do you accept?" Jason looked into her golden eyes. "I accept. Learning more. I accept trying. But only if you want this too, not just because of duty." Tavani blinked slowly. "Then we begin, not as strangers in error, but as allies in choice." They stood silently for a moment. Jason smiled. "You know, for an accidental bond, this doesn't feel so bad." She smiled back, her tails swishing lightly behind her. "The stars often write strange stories." Jason Cole stood in the Vulpinari ceremonial hall, his heart beating faster than ever. Around him, golden banners hung from tall white walls, each marked with strange symbols that told stories of honor and history. A low humming sound filled the air, some kind of traditional music. He adjusted his formal robe. It wasn't his usual uniform. This one was made from smooth silver cloth and had a wide collar. Soft tailpiece even hung from the back to match Vulpinari style. "You look acceptable," said a voice behind him. Jason turned and saw Tavani walking toward him. She wore royal colors, deep red and gold. Her tall figure moved with grace, her fur shining in the warm light. Jason smiled. "Thanks. You look royal." "Is that a compliment where you're from?" Tavani tilted her head. "It is." Then, more softly, she added, "And I thank you." Today was the beginning of the Proving Day, a traditional Vulpinar event that tested both members of a new bond. Even though Jason and Tavani weren't truly in love yet, they had agreed to go through the ceremony to protect the peace treaty between their species. Tavani's clan believed the bond was real. Jason wasn't sure what he believed, but he respected her, and maybe, just maybe, he wanted to understand her more. "First trial," Tavani said, handing him a small card. "Wisdom." Jason read it. "Wisdom? Like a quiz? Like a lesson? You will sit with the elders and answer questions. Stories. Riddles." Jason groaned. Great alien riddles. What could go wrong? A short time later, Jason sat on a stone bench inside a round chamber. 5 Vulpinari elders sat around him, their faces serious, tails resting calmly on the floor. The first elder spoke. "What is stronger than stone, yet breaks with words?" Jason blinked. Trust." The elder nodded. Another asked, "What walks without legs, speaks without breath, and carries the past into the now?" Jason thought hard, then smiled. "Memory." Again the elders nodded. Tavani watched. From the side, her expression unreadable. After several more questions, the final elder stood. "Human," he said, "you do not only understand our words, you understand meaning. This is wisdom." Jason let out a quiet breath. "Thanks, that was intense." Tavani gave him a nod of approval. "Next trial of skill." Jason frowned. "Please don't say fighting. Agility," she said simply. "Oh good," he muttered. "Because I'm known for tripping over my own boots." The agility test took place in a garden room filled with strange trees, floating platforms, and shifting lights. Jason stood on one side. On the other, Vulpine challengers leaped with ease between branches, flipped midair, and landed gracefully. When it was Jason's turn, he gulped. "Just don't fall," he whispered to himself. He climbed onto the first platform. It moved slightly under his weight. He jumped to the second, one barely making it. The third jump ended with him slipping, hanging on by one hand. From below, Tavani called out, "Use rhythm, not strength." Jason took a deep breath, timed his movement with the soft music in the background, and jumped again, by the end. He was covered in sweat and had a few bruises, but he finished. The Vulpine cheered politely. Tavani met him at the end of the path. "You may not leap like us," she said, "but you finish what you start. That is strength." Jason chuckled, in pain. Lots of pain. Later, in a quiet room filled with soft lights and glowing stones, Tavani offered Jason a flat wooden instrument. "What's this?" he asked. "Trial of heart? You must create a poem, or music, or story. Something from your truth." Jason hesitated. "Not really." A poet, Tavani sat beside him. "Truth is not measured by skill, only honesty." Jason took the instrument, strummed a few awkward notes, then began to hum a song from Earth. It was a lullaby his mother used to sing. He translated the words slowly into Vulpine, line by line. "Stars above, guide me home through quiet, dark, and open sky, where hearts remember, even when far we are not alone." When he finished, Tavani was silent. Her ears twitched slightly. "That song, it holds much sadness." Jason nodded. "It's about distance, about missing home, about hope." Tavani touched one of the glowing stones. "You have shown your heart. The elders will accept it." Jason looked at her. "And you? Do you accept it?" She looked back. "You are not what I expected, and yet I do not regret this bond." Jason smiled, unsure of what to say. That night, as Jason walked back to his quarters, he heard voices in the corridor. Two Vulpine dressed in arms stood whispering. One, "Mistake. And this bond weakens our bloodline," one said. "The outsider is not worthy." "He will ruin our name," said the other. "We must act soon." Jason stepped back, heart pounding. Not everyone supported the bond. In fact, some clearly wanted to destroy it. He returned to his room, deep in thought. He and Tavani had grown close in just a few days, but now he realized the bond wasn't just personal. It was political, dangerous, and maybe under threat. Jason sat down and turned off the lights. Outside the window, the stars still shined. "This started with one small mistake," he whispered. "But now, everything depends on what we do next." Jason Cole stood quietly in the command deck of Harmony's Reach, staring at the glowing map of space on the main screen. It showed multiple Vulpine ships, each with royal symbols. One of the ships didn't belong to Tavani's house. Belonged to a rival clan known as House Varun. Captain Morales stepped beside him. "They're not just visiting. Varun has sent a warship." Jason's jaw tightened. "I heard two of their warriors last night. They called me unworthy. They want to break the bond." Morales nodded. "And they're not hiding it anymore. They sent a message this morning. They're requesting a formal challenge." Jason blinked. "A challenge? What kind?" "Trial by will," Morales said. It's an ancient Vulpinari test. No weapons. No fighting. Instead, you'll share your life, your memories, your emotions. If they find you lacking, they'll declare the bond false. Jason's heart sank, so I have to open my mind. To a council of aliens who already hate me, Morales placed a hand on his shoulder. You've come this far, Lieutenant. You've earned more respect than you think. Later that day, Jason stood inside a meditation chamber shaped like a dome. Strange, glowing crystals hovered in the air. Vulpinari elders and leaders, including members of House Farrowin, sat in a wide circle. Tavani stood beside him. She looked calm, but her tail flicked nervously. This ritual connects minds, she whispered. It will show them your true self. They will see what you remember, what shaped you. Jason took a deep breath. I hope they like what they see. Tavani gave a small smile. Do not try to impress them. Just be honest. One of the elders raised a paw. Begin. A beam of soft blue light fell on Jason. The crystals glowed brighter, and a strange feeling washed over him like diving deep underwater. Suddenly images appeared in the air. Jason was a boy, playing in the mud outside his home. Laughing, chasing his dog through the rain. The scene shifted. He was 12. Watching Earth's news as a major earthquake destroyed a city, he remembered feeling helpless, wishing he could do more. Another scene, he stood at his parents' grave, eyes full of tears. A Vulpinari in the council gasped softly, seeing the raw pain. Then a final memory, Jason. In a training room, learning alien languages, he spoke with a friend from another species, laughing together, solving puzzles. He looked around. These are the moments that made me who I am, he said. Not strong, not perfect, but real. The crystals dimmed. There was silence. One of the Varuan leaders stood. His name was Haifang Selrix. His fur was darker than the others, and his voice deep. You show pain, Selrix said. Loss, compassion. But where's your strength? Jason stepped forward. Strength isn't just muscles or weapons. Standing up again after you fall. It's choosing peace when war is easier. It's respecting others even when they don't respect you. Selrix narrowed his eyes. Speak boldly for an outsider. Jason held his ground. And I'll keep speaking because the bond I have with Taven yet wasn't planned. It was a mistake, but we both chose to honor. That choice matters. Outside the chamber, Tavani and Jason walked in silence for a while. You showed them everything, she finally said. Even your worst memories. Jason nodded. They needed to know the truth. Tavani stopped. I have never seen memories shared with such raw feeling. It was powerful. Jason looked at her. Do you think they'll accept it? Some. Might others? She paused. We'll never want the bond to stand. Especially Selrix. Suddenly, a sharp beeping sound echoed through the hallway. Red lights flashed. Jason grabbed his communicator. What's going on? Captain Morales' voice came through, tight and serious. Security alert. House. Voron's ship has launched unauthorized drones toward the ship. We think they're trying to disrupt the council meeting. Possible sabotage. Jason's eyes widened. What do we do? Tavani's eyes narrowed. We stop them. Together. Jason and Tavani raced through the corridors toward the shuttle bay. Morales gave them clearance to use a scout ship to intercept the drones before they reached the Revenge station. Inside the small vessel, Jason took the controls while Tavani manned the scanners. 3 drones, she reported. Stealth type headed. For the ship's main core? If they hit the power core? Jason began. Tavani finished. It will look like your ship attacked us. Jason cursed under his breath. Perfect way to ruin the treaty. Pushed the ship forward. Engines. Roaring, the scout vessels soared through space, chasing the drones. Tavani pointed. There, Jason locked onto the first drone and fired. Clean hit. It exploded in a flash of blue. The second drone dodged and turned back. It's cloaking, Tavani warned. Jason narrowed his eyes. Can you track its energy trail? Tavani tapped her console. Yes, I'll guide you, fly. They worked side by side, her quick eyes spotting movements, his steady hands flying the ship. In minutes, the last drone was destroyed. They sat in silence for a moment. You flew well, Advani said softly. You guided better, Jason replied, breathing hard. Back on Harmony's reach, the Vulpinari Council gathered once more. This time the room was tense, but focused. Captain Morales explained the sabotage attempt. Selric stood, ashamed. Members of my clan acted without honor. I take responsibility. I withdraw my challenge. Another elder stepped forward. What? Of the bond? All eyes turned to Jason and Tavani. Tavani spoke first. This bond began by mistake, but we have chosen to continue it, not by rule, but by heart. Jason nodded. We didn't follow your customs perfectly, but we respected them. And we respect each other. That's what really matters. Was silent. Then slowly, the eldest Vulpinari rose. Then the bond stands. Not by error, but by choice. That night, Jason and Tavani stood once again under the stars. You were brave, she said quietly. You too, he replied. Even when your people doubted me, you stood by my side. Tavani looked at him. That is what bonding means. Standing together. Jason smiled. I think I'm starting to understand. Above them, stars continued to shine, silent witnesses to a new beginning. Jason Cole woke up to the soft sound of his communicator buzzing beside his bed. He sat up, rubbing his eyes. It was still early, ship lights were dim, the artificial night still active. He pressed the button. Captain Morales' voice came through. Calm but firm. Lieutenant Cole, report to the command deck immediately. We have a situation. Jason dressed quickly and made his way through the quiet halls of Harmony's Reach. When he reached the deck, he found Captain Morales, Tavani, and several senior officers already gathered. Status? Jason asked. Morales pointed at the screen. It showed a large Vulpinari battleship moving toward their position. That's the Rage of Veruin, Morales said. Selrix has lost his seat in the council, but not his pride. His warship is broadcasting a false message saying, we broke the alliance. Jason frowned. They're trying to start a war. Tavani's ears twitched. It's not only about pride, it's about power. If Veruin can prove the bond is a failure, they can block future peace with Earth. Jason stepped forward, and we can't let that happen. Morales nodded. We're preparing shields and defenses, but if we fire first, it'll confirm. There lies, Tavani looked at Jason. There is another way. One they cannot ignore. He turned to her. What way? The ancient vow, right? A public bonding declaration, witnessed by leaders of both species. It is sacred, untouchable. No one can attack during it. Jason's eyes widened. Do you mean a real wedding? In name, yes, Tavani said. But the vow is not about love. It's about unity, about shared choice. Jason took a breath. And if we do this, the Veruin can't touch us. It's not without declaring war on all Vulpinari traditions. She confirmed. Morales looked between them. It's risky, but it might be our best chance. Jason looked into Tavani's golden eyes. All right, let's do it. Preparation moved quickly. The diplomatic chamber was transformed into a ceremonial hall. Lights glowed soft gold. Symbols from both human and Vulpinari cultures decorated the walls. Small crowd gathered ship. Crew, council members, and Vulpinari leaders who had remained neutral. Tavani stood at the center, wearing the royal cloak of her house. Her fur was brushed, her posture tall and proud. Jason wore a new version of his uniform, clean white with a blue sash across his chest. A symbol of trust between the species was pinned on his collar. He stepped forward beside her, a Vulpinari elder. The High Seer raised her paw. Today we witnessed the bond vow, not born by blood nor forced by rule, but chosen through trial. Jason took a deep breath. The room was silent. All eyes were on them. Tavani spoke first. I am Tavani of House Rises, warrior envoy, speaker. Of my clan, I vow this bond not for tradition, but for trust. With this human, I stand, Not behind, not above, but beside. Jason spoke next. I am Jason Cole of Earth, officer, explorer, witness to your truth. I vow to protect our bond, not with orders, but with honesty. With Tavani, I stand, as equal and ally. The High Seer stepped forward, then let the bond be sealed. She placed a pair of silver bands thin and shaped like twisting leaves on their hands, one on Jason's wrist, one on Tavani's. The room remained still for a long moment. Then the High Seer raised her voice. Let no blade or lie break this vow. Outside the chamber, alarms suddenly flashed. An officer rushed in. Captain, the Rage of Aruin is locking weapons on our ship, Morales growled. They're breaking tradition. Jason turned to Tavani. They can't attack during the vow, right? She nodded, confused. It would dishonor them forever. Then a second officer interrupted. Sir, wait. Another Vulpinari ship just jumped in. It's the voice of Relin. It belongs to House Relin, allies of Tavani's clan. Morales leaned forward. Open channel. A large Vulpinari face appeared on the screen. Elder Velik of Relin. An old but powerful voice in their politics. House Relan honors the bond vow, Velik said. Any who break it shall be cast from the stars. Another ship joined, and another. In moments, the Rage of Varun was surrounded by allied vessels. Selrix's face appeared on screen. He looked furious. You think a fake ritual saves you? Tavani stepped forward. It is not fake. You tried to destroy peace. You chose to build it. Jason added. And now your lies are exposed, Selrix growled. Then his image vanished. Moments later, the Varuan ship powered down weapons and turned away. Morales sighed with relief. Crisis avoided thanks to both of you that evening. Jason and Tavani stood together in the observation deck. The stars looked peaceful again. Tavani spoke first. You handled today with honor, more than many born into it. Jason chuckled. I've never had a more dangerous wedding day. She smiled softly. The bond was started by accident. But now it is real. Jason looked at her. Do you still want it? She nodded. Not for duty, for choice. Jason took her hand. Then I choose it too. They stood in silence, watching. The stars drift by two lives, once strangers, now linked not by mistake, but by trust. Jason Cole sat at a long metal table in the Harmony's Reach conference room. Across from him were Earth's diplomats, officers, and Vulpinari elders. Tavani stood beside him, tall and calm as always. A small silver band still circled her, wrist a reminder of the public bonding vow they had made together. The room was quiet. Tension hung in the air like a tight thread. The Earth ambassador, a man named Harris, cleared his throat. We've reviewed the situation, the accidental start of the bond, the trials, the attack from House Varuin, and your recent vow ceremony. Jason said nothing yet. He knew what was coming. Harris continued, We're here to decide. Should this bond remain in place? Should you, Lieutenant Cole, be permanently assigned as ambassador to the Vulpinari? Jason looked around the table. Right. For this bond, he said honestly, it started by mistake, but we turned it into something real. I didn't run from their customs. I learned I respected them. I faced their trials. And when it mattered most, I stood with Tavani. Tavani added, Many in my people's history would have laughed and walked away, but Jason stayed, even when challenged, even when insulted. That is why the bond should remain, because it was never about mistake. It became about choice. The council fell silent for a long moment. Then Harris gave a small nod. Very well, the bond stands. And as of now, Lieutenant Cole, you are officially appointed as Earth's representative to the Vulpinari Alliance. Jason exhaled slowly. Tavani placed a gentle hand on his arm. Later that evening, the ship returned to orbit above Vulpinari Primed, the homeworld of Tavani's people. Jason stood at the viewing window, eyes wide. The planet was beautiful. Silver oceans shimmered. In sunlight, forests of purple and gold stretched across the continents. Large cities were built into the cliffs and mountains, glowing with soft lights that changed colors with the wind. Tavani joined him, her tail swaying slightly. "You've never seen it from here before." Jason shook his head. "It's amazing." "We'll see more," she said. "We'll travel to the Great Temple. There, the final step of the bond takes place." Jason raised an eyebrow. "I thought we were already bonded." "We are," Tavani said. "But the temple gives it history. It becomes part of our records. Our story will live in the Song of Stars." Jason smiled. "Sounds poetic." Tavani tilted her head. "It is." The next day, they arrived at the Great Temple. It was carved into the side of a mountain, surrounded by waterfalls and giant stone statues. Dozens of Vulpinari gathered, there to witness the final rite. Jason stood beside Tavani in a wide-open space at the temple's heart. Wind blew gently through the pillars. A group of singers stood nearby, chanting soft tones that echoed across the sky. An elder approached. "Them you have passed through mistake, through trial, through choice. Now you pass into memory. Say your final words of the bond." Tavani looked at Jason. "From first step to this, we have walked with doubt and hope. I have seen your weakness and your strength. I do not walk ahead or behind. I walk beside."
Oh.
Jason looked into her eyes. "From accident to trust, we've built something strong. I've seen your world, your people, your heart. I choose this bond. I will keep choosing it." The crowd lowered their heads. The singers began a new verse. The elder raised both hands. "The bond is now written, in stars, in story, in memory." Cheers rose. Small, glowing lights floated into the sky. Jason wasn't sure if they were insects or tiny machines, but they were beautiful. Tavani stepped close. "You are now part of our history." Jason smiled. "And you're now part of mine." Weeks later, Jason sat in his new office on Vulpinari Prime. It was smaller than he expected, but comfortable. The walls were decorated with symbols of both Earth and Vulpinari cultures. He spent his days helping translate treaties, guiding human visitors, and even teaching some Vulpinari younglings how to speak English. Tavani often joined him in meetings. Their teamwork smooth and natural now. One afternoon, Jason was working at his desk when Tavani entered with a datapad. "New request from Earth," she said. "They want to send more cultural teams next month." Jason nodded. "Sounds good." She paused. "Also, there's an invitation." Jason looked up. "From who?" Tavani smiled slightly. "The Earth's embassy. They want us to attend the Unity celebration on Mars next year as guests of honor." Bitson leaned back in his chair, a bit surprised. "You and me, guests of honor." "You and me," Tavani repeated softly. Jason stood. He walked to the window, looking out at the pink sky, It all started because I walked through the wrong door." Tavani joined him. "No. It started because you stayed." They stood side by side in silence, watching the wind move across the tall trees of Vulpinari Prime. The moment was quiet, it was peaceful, full of meaning. Jason reached out and gently touched her hand. "From now on, we walk this path together," Tavani nodded. "Together."